Hello to all. I think we can slowly start and then just let others to join. I want to say welcome to all of you to the second webinar in capacity building in REFOCUS. And today we will focus on data frameworks, which is now a hot topic in Europe in regards to TEN-T obligations for urban nodes and all major cities in Europe. And in this webinar today, we will hear from project partners from Stockholm, Italy, Poznan, and Lviv. And also we have one of Polis members, so external partner, Ivan Costagliola. I'm sorry, Ivan, if I'm mispronouncing your name. And he will be presenting last one. Without further ado, I don't know if Maria from CERT want to say a few words. If not, Eva, I'm giving floor to you to hear more about monitoring performance and environmental barometer from Stockholm.
So I will share my screen then. Right, let's see. And now we have the same problem again. I'm sorry about that. It's not working the way I want it to work.
Eva, if you want, I can share the screen and then you just...
Maybe that's better because now I can't find the... So I should stop sharing then, or can you just take control? Or...
Yeah, here it is.
Okay, so there's another picture first, right? Do you have the first slide?
This is the presentation I got from you.
Okay, I'm done. I'm ready. Okay. So, and my name is Eva Sunderstedt. I work for the City of Stockholm, the Environment and Health Administration. And I'm going to present to you the work on the Environmental Barometer, monitoring and performance online. And this is a work that we have been doing for many years. And now it's time to reorganize and redo the work because of different changes that I will go through. And I was actually part when we all started, and now I'm also parting in making the new version. So we can take the next slide. So it started already in 2003. It was an in-house development product, and it was later commercialized. And it has environmental and traffic-related information, both explained and visualized, and it contains actions and governing policies, also lots of different kinds of documents and plans and links, and all in one place then. And it's actually a much used reference point. And it has a distributed maintenance model, so many contributors and editors, which is part of the success maybe, but also a little part of the problem now since it has grown so large. So this is part of the first page that you can see here on the side. And as you can see, you can click on for further information on climate, on air, on water, on nature, on traffic, on energy, and so on. And I included a few links here. The first link is to the Environmental Barometer itself. And the other link is where we are explaining the good practice from Stockholm in English, because the Environmental Barometer is entirely in Swedish. So we can take the next slide. So here I have provided for you an example when it comes to traffic. So if you click on the traffic, you come further down and you can see different kinds of diagrams, and you can also click on the table for the same type of diagram. This one that I've chosen here is the number of new clean car sales in Sweden, and you can see exactly which kind of fuel or electric or whatever it is. And you can actually also in the down corner, you can click on electric and you actually get that it's 66%. And you can also get that in a table format if you want to, and you can mix it together in various ways. And then if you scroll down, you also have different kinds of reports and other documents that you can download. So you can take the next slide. So, and now you can click, so I get the different examples. So we have then the good practice where you can click here, you see there's bicycle traffic, there's walking and different that you can get. And we have over 500 indicators, around 5,300 documents, 3,000 different web pages, 800 actions and many duplicates, and also 700 pictures. So this has grown to some extent a little out of control. So next slide, please. So that's why we are now changing. So you can click so I get all the different ones at once. So we now work with, because I mean, it has been a while. So now there's more easier standard platforms with better integrated data sharing capabilities that we are going to use. And we also need better security requirements and also meet different kind of data standard formats that's better to use now and exist now. And we also are moving from a more information-driven to a data-driven platform, and the secure ownership based on role rather than individuals. And we'll also look through what primary usage groups we should have because of who is using it at the moment and have been using it in the past, and simplify the administration and maintenance, and also get a lot more automatic data updates so it will flow more smoothly. And we also will try to simplify and combine visualizations to get more data at the same place, and simplify data sharing and eliminate duplicates. And then in that way, improve the entire structure of the website. So you can take the next slide. So now here we have some prototypes of the new data or environmental data platform that we are putting together. So now you get this one. First example is from air quality data. So now you get the air quality data in one space, and you can see what it is today, and you can see how it's been in the past, and you can see future goals. And you also see meteorological data and other data that you might want to see. And you can click if you just want to see one station, or if you want to see just one particle matters, or whatever you want to do. You can choose that for yourself and download that type of data if that's what you want. So we can take the next slide. And also a prototype here is about different kind of measures. Now we have them all on one side, instead of several hundreds. And here you can see if you have a measure or an action, it's pointed out here on the map, so you can see if there's a certain area you want to look into, or if you want to look at planned or already carried through. And then together with that, you get a list where you can click and read more about the different measures and actions taking place. So it's more easy to find them and more easy to see them, and also maybe how they can interact with each other. So we can take the next slide. So then we have to, if you can also make your own diagram and do different kinds of comparisons. And this example, it's just a mock-up because it's not already done yet, but it's on its way. It's from water. But here you can choose what you want to see in the same diagram, and you can click on those parameters. And then the data is presented in a similar way all together. And you can also look and display different types of indicators and decide which ones you want to have. So it's more easy to use and easy to access and easy to find, I think, because the environmental barometer that we have today has a lot of data, and sometimes it's hard to find it because it's so much. So we can take the next slide. So the conclusions then is that the environmental barometer has been in use for 22 years. It has been much appreciated and much used. And now we have new technical solutions and an overwhelming amount of data that has triggered this update. And the new environmental data platform will then be easier to use and operate and maintain, which I think is important. And it will be in full operation from April next year. And I also included my email below if you want to have any questions afterwards or later on, or if you want to find me for some reason. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Emma. Very interesting presentation. The floor is open for any questions, so just raise your hand or you can start talking. I can start, Eva, with a question regarding urban mobility indicators and TEN-T regulation. And just to ask if those indicators and data set that you just showed are part of the indicators that you will be reporting to Commission from 2027 on. And the second question as a follow-up is just to clarify, are you collecting the data on a city level, or is it a functional urban area or metropolitan area of Stockholm as well involved?
Well, it's mainly for the city and from the city perspective, because that's the data that we have and control ourselves. But when it comes, for instance, with traffic and air, that I'm more involved in, we usually do a larger area. We have the city, but we usually do the region, because if we want to keep track on filling stations for biofuels or charging points or a number of cars in the area, it's usually more interesting to know the entire region rather than just the city. So it varies a little, but in the majority of the different indicators, it is for the city because it's data that we have and control. And yes, when it comes to reporting, we have to report to the city hall, to the politicians, but we also have to report a few things to the national government when it comes to air quality issues and so on, and sometimes maybe then also to the European Commission. And then we use this tool in order to gather the data and present it in a good way. So the answer to your first question is yes. But then can we always use it? Well, it's little, but yeah, in 90% of the time, it's yes.
And do you use that data set as evaluation framework for any strategies like either SUMP or any other?
Yeah, we have data here that we use to, for instance, see how many people if we do a lot of biking new bike lanes and so on. We want to see, is biking increasing? How is that affecting car traffic? Well, we have that kind of data, and we put that in here, and we have now the environmental zone, or the clean air zone in the city, that we were supposed to introduce, but we're still waiting for the court to do the final verdicts. But there we have special measurement equipment up and running, so we get a lot of before data, but once we have the measures implemented, we can also get after data. So yes, not on everything everywhere, but we do want to use this to monitor different actions that we have been doing. That's why we want to do it. But it also sometimes it's problematic because there can be different actions taking place in an area. So how do you know that one specific action has triggered this? I mean, so you have to be wise when you interpret the result, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If no further questions, I mean, you can ask them. You can pose in chat, or you can just raise your hand if you need to, and then come back also to Eva. Thank you very much, Eva, for this.
Thank you.
I'm now giving floor to our second presentation. We will hear from Giacomo, I think, the Institute for Transport and Logistics from Italy, and with the presentation on their dashboard for analysis and data visualization on the regional level. So Giacomo, feel free to share your screen.
Yes. Okay. Okay. You can see the presentation?
Indeed, yes.
Okay, okay. So, welcome everybody. I'm Giacomo Nonino from ITL Foundation. And today there is also my colleague from Emilia-Romagna region, Nicolas Hollander. So today we will present you this GP from the REFOCUS program that we have chosen from the experience of the Emilia-Romagna region. And the GP concerns the dashboard for analysis and visualization of data from the regional transport model. So now we will start with a brief presentation about the Emilia-Romagna region. So, Nicolas, if you want, you can go.
Yes, thanks, Giacomo. So yes, to start, a word about the Emilia-Romagna region. I'm talking to you from Bologna, which is the capital. It has 9 provinces and 4.5 million inhabitants, and you can see the land surface, number of enterprises, GDP per inhabitant, and the 5 universities. The region is an important node for mobility, both at European and national level. You see on the map that it catches several TEN-T corridors, and it's transversely crossed by Via Emilia, which is a major axis where 7 out of 9 provincial capitals are located. The region deals with a lot of transport-related data sets, and a large coming from the traffic monitoring system, the public transport operators, the mobile phone, etc. A large part of that data is publicly available on several portals and dashboards for the sake of transparency and innovation. And the data also feeds the regional transport model, which on turn is at the core of PRIT25, which is the main regional tool for an integrated transport planning and programming. Here you can see some maps that are output by PRIT25 about railway, cycle path, and roads. The dashboards that Giacomo will show you in a while are widely used by our stakeholders, such as municipalities or metropolitan area, in order for them to produce their SUMPs and urban plans. That's it for the short introduction about the region, and I leave the floor to Giacomo.
Here we are. So, Let's go ahead. So we know that before we can go to the dashboard, I think we have to present what's behind. So this is the regional transport model. So it's a very important tool for regional transport policies. Here you can see a graphical visualization of the model. So we can see the flow on the road network and the passenger on the railway network. So this tool is used for make evaluation of transport forecasts and policies, and the specific analysis also for infrastructure, plenary shanning, and project action. So it's a very powerful tool, and of course we can extract data from this regional model and information related with OD metrics and transport indicators, and also pilot studies. How it works? So this is the methodology behind. So it's a classical 4-step model. It's a little bit complex, but because there are a lot of process connected and also data, for example, data set for the observed flow or territorial data. They are put all together in this process. In the yellow box, you can see the generation distribution and assignment phases that are common for a 4-step model. So this is the methodology behind the regional model, and that provide information for the dashboard. Here we have the backbones of the model. So we have the links and node that created this model. We have 10,000 links and 300 nodes, and they represent 11,000 kilometers of regional roads and 1,300 kilometers of rail. Here we have also 168 stations that are related with the railway system. Then we have the demand model that is connected with connectors to the network. Here we have the zone system. So we have 415 zones, one for each municipalities. But in the central area, on the urban scale, for example, for Bologna or the main cities, we have a more detailed system zone. So, and on this demand model, we assign the OD metrics that are calculated from demographic and socioeconomic data, floating car data, and also data provided from the mobile phone. In this case, the region use Vodafone, for example, to collect data from the mobile phone and then to elaborate the audit metrics that is assigned to this demand model. And okay, we have seen what we have seen. This is the back end of the system. Now we can go to the real dashboard. So the front end part, this is, you can see this is the dashboard. So it's a public user interface developed by Emilia-Romagna region. It's very simple. It's created with Microsoft Power BI, and it's open for stakeholders, for example, municipalities, metropolitan areas, but also for the citizen. So here you can see the home page, and the data behind this dashboard are the OD metrics extracted from the model. The model is not only the simulation software, no, that is powered by PTV system, but it's a more complex system with all the process that we have seen in the methodology. So in the dashboard, we can access this data. In this case, we can choose between light vehicles and heavy vehicles. The metrics inside the regional model. And then we can, we can choose what kind of analysis. So we have origin destination analysis or destination origin, and also attracted and generated trips. So we can choose, we can control if a particular municipality or a province is a generator of trips or is attract. So we can choose with 2 different modes. Of course, the temporal is referred to the more peak hour between 7 and 9 in the morning AM for a typical average work day. So this is the boundaries of the dashboard. And then we can, of course, make analysis for by municipalities or groups of municipalities, and also for province. So we can click on this dashboard, and here you can see, for example, an OD analysis for by municipalities. We have chosen the municipality of Bologna. Here you can see the total of trip for the peak hour in the morning. We have 20,800 trips generated from the municipality of Bologna during the weekdays. And in the first map, you can see the boundaries of the municipality of Bologna. And then the first analysis are two charts. The first, in blue, represent the 5 top municipalities that are connected with Bologna. And in the second map, you can see the boundaries of this municipalities. So we can see that the major connections are related with the municipality very close to Bologna. And then in the second chart, the red one, you can see the extra-regional connection. So we see that we have 0.5% of that 20,000 trips directed to Veneto or Lombardy. So this is the first phase of the OD analysis by municipality. Another output, always related with the municipality of Bologna, are this list. You can see we have the total list of municipality and the total list of the extra regional direction. So we can see that 98% of the trips that start from Bologna are inside the Emilia-Romagna region, and only 1.3% are destinated to extra-regional territory. So this is one of the main characteristic of this kind of dashboard. We can choose the municipality, we can create also aggregation and make different analysis. The second analysis that we can see is related with the balance of attracted and generated trip for every municipality. So here you have a map of all the municipalities of the Region Emilia-Romagna, colored by if they are generator or attractor of trips. So in red one, you can see the generator, the municipality that generate traffic toward the other municipalities that are attractor, that are the blue ones. So in the chart, you can see the data. So we have on top Bologna, because it's the capital of the Emilia-Romagna region, with 20,000 trips generated and this 17,000 trips attracted. And then we can go deeper, and for example, we can examine the data for the Bologna municipalities. In this case, we have a little chart and also other data on the population. For example, we have the population of all the municipalities, and also the ratio between attracted and generated trips. So we see that Bologna is a polo, a trattore, no? We call a pole because it's connected to 34 municipalities in the territory of the Emilia-Romagna region. So this is the second analysis that we can do with this dashboard. This dashboard is one of the many that the Region Emilia-Romagna has developed in the last year, but I think it's very important because it's related with all this data can be downloaded. So we can go back and we can download the data for a single municipality or for a province or for other, and it's the base data are related with the model, the transport model, and the OD metrics that are contained. So it's a huge amount of data, and it's open for the citizen and also for the public bodies in the Emilia-Romagna region. A conclusion, so we have seen this dashboard that has developed in the Emilia-Romagna region. So the first aim is to provide to policymaker analysis and elaboration to support SUMP and urban planning. So this is the main aim. We have seen that this is a proactive approach. So the Emilia-Romagna region tried to help, for example, municipality we have some gaps on systematic data mobility. So usually municipality can afford, they can spend much money in data or in tools. So the idea is to offer policymakers reliable tools with datasets that are verified and checked and also validated. And this is for a kind of multi-level understanding of mobility that can lead to a shared governance. So this kind of dashboard are created mainly for this purpose. So thank you. And this is a brief presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm giving floor to Iliana from CERT. She has a question.
Yes.
Iliana?
She doesn't know how to enable her microphone.
You can also write in chat so I can ask it. In the meantime, I see there is a other raised hand from Pablo from Lviv. So please, Pablo.
Thank you. I believe it's not only my question because I see in text from REFOCUS the same part. Partially, so the first part is which data except of usual traffic mobility model you updated and how often? I believe it also will answer your question of other colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, so the data that we've seen in the dashboard is collected from the model. And the model is fed from different kind of sources. The audiometric is created by, for example, social demographic data, floating car data. So we collect, the region collect also floating car data, for example, for trucks, for heavy vehicle, and also for cars. And then we have also the data from the mobile phone. So they are collected in the system, and then they are created the audiometrics, and then assigned to the model. So these three are the main source of data.
And we also use for the calibration, the data from our traffic monitoring system, which has 280 stations on the territories that monitor the traffic 24 hours a day, all year long.
Exactly. You can see in the methodology, so we have observed that flow during the peak hour, but also for all the day, every day of every year. So we can we can collect this data and then use for the calibration and to feedback the model. Other sources of data?
It's not updated daily or weekly. It's updated when you launch periodical calibration and understand that, okay, we have like a supermarket opened in this area, so we need to update.
No, I can hear you.
We couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, sorry. So is it updated on short period, like daily or weekly, or it is updated on case by case? Like you understood that you understand that new district is changed or I don't know, new supermarket is open or something like that.
Okay, the model is at a regional level. So, but I think the network is updated every month, every week. The railroad network and also the road network, and the data behind. I think, for example, the floating car data. I think they're about every 2 years or every year. So we have different kind of update. We update the network easily, and also the zone system. But the data, we have some kind of data that are collected every day, and other that are by every year. So we have different kind of data collecting.
Yeah.
No, I've seen that. Is there raw data accessible through the dashboard? No, there are no raw data, but you can use the data that we have seen. So the list and I think also the images. But if you can ask, we can write. Every citizen can write to the region and ask for detailed data, for example, for particular territory or province or municipality. But yeah, they use the dashboard is mainly for the policymaker. For example, that one that are involved in new urban plan and they need data from the territory. So they can use this data from the regional model and avoid to buy new data or new. So this is across a kind of multidisciplinary approach on mobility. Okay.
Yeah, we also have other data like the one from the traffic monitoring system, which is available not on that dashboard, but on another portal. It's not raw data because it's aggregated per hour or per day, but still it's a very valuable source.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have one more question before going to the next presentation. Maria from CERT.
Okay.
Yeah, just a question. If you faced any resistance from getting floating car data, for example, from freight vehicles, did freight operators had any resistance in providing you access to their data? And if so,
Yes,
how you handled this? Because I understand that freight operators.
We have talked with several providers of floating car data, and yeah, they don't want to share raw data, and we have find only one provider. And in the next, we can share also the name and also how it works. And yeah, they share. We buy the data, but we have the exactly position of every vehicles, the starting point, the ending point, and we have a sample every 2 minutes. So we can reconstruct the OD metrics for every vehicle, and also the trip and the road and the path that is followed. So this is, but it's the only one that we have in Italy that provide this kind of information. The other, they provide only dashboard or aggregated analysis. So it's, but I think now we are exploring the other provider, for example, also international provider from Germany. So we are searching this field, and I think in the future we will find other data, in particular related with the international trips via the Alps and to the Germany and the Central Europe.
Definitely not an easy task, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again for the presentation, Giacomo. And now we will hear from Viktor Zhukovsky from Poznan, more about the road safety and road accidents reporting system. Viktor, feel free to share the screen.
Okay, can you see my screen? But I will just put on the presentation mode. Is okay?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. I wanted to present the accident collision reporting system, which is implemented in Poznan city, of course, with the cooperation with the colleagues from the Poznan, so Jan, Adrian, and Marcin. And what is the aim of that activity? We just, or the city, try to improve the traffic safety, and of course, support the activity of engineers in Poznan, which are planning the city sign and city traffic. Safety of the pedestrian, checking the speed of the traffic of the vehicles. Of course, the most important is diagnosis of most dangerous areas in the city, And finally, the time trends, how to change, how to plan the development of the traffic in the city. And of course, the data are not collected by the city, but they're collected by the police. And the data are supplied to the city yearly. And of course, the data are for the whole year. And they are updated in March and April if it is necessary. As you can see, there was, I think, 6 editions of that report of this data and collection of them and preparing the reports. What does the data include? Of course, the location of the incidents, time and location, place of the incidents, type, and cause of the incident. This is just to find the information, what kind of incident it was collected, data was collected. Of course, the participants and the images. And the other things is the type of the vehicle which was involved, or vehicles which were involved in the incidents, including the bikes, trams, scooters, etc. And of course, the operating model is quite simple. So the data are sent by the police in XML format. Then it is developed into by this application you can see. So this is QGIS and PostgreSQL. And this is the way how the statistics, map, diagram, reports, and information are collected and transferred to their own. And the global of use of this, the examples of use of the data are the global report, which was published 1 year and 2 years ago. And there was some general information about the accidents. Of course, there are some statistics. We can find the data from the previous 2 years with the information, what was the changes in the number of accidents. Of course, this is the example of the data. The data are a little bit more detailed. Here we got the information about the victims of the road accidents in the city. As we can see, the trend is falling down, or was falling down. Now it's on the same, more or less the same level. Of course, one of the most important results are the cluster maps. You can see one of the traffic circle in the entrance to the city. I usually go there twice a week, and I don't like that location. I think plenty of citizens doesn't like that location, but you can see that there is plenty of accidents which happens yearly on the location. And as I know, this traffic circle was re-engineered, I think twice or even 3 times, just to be more safe. There is additional street, and you can see different way of giving the information, or presenting the information about the number of the accidents. Of course, the different colors and different sizes give the information about the different number of the accidents. What are the actions taken by the municipality just to use the data? As I said before, the second thing is that there are some changes in the markings on the, for example, Rondo Rataj is the traffic circle I said before. Of course, additional things are to change the tram stops just to avoid some collisions with pedestrians. We are making some different, or cities make different way to make the pedestrians which are going out or into the tram as safe as possible. And of course, still the data are flow and the data are used for the traffic engineers to change the situation in the city. And the next plans is just to make some relations between the number of the accidents and the number of the vehicles which are crossing that location. So in that case, in a high traffic, usually leads to the higher level of accidents. So if the relation between number of accidents and number of crossing vehicles will be prepared, that will be an easier way to indicate the most dangerous location to change. And then the city wants to collect the data, show the data to the public, just to give the information to the citizens where are the worst location or the best location in case of the safety in the city. And of course, the solutions is quite easy to transfer. I think the most important thing is just to collect data, because the data is collected in Poznan or all over the Poland by the police, and the data can be shared. In that situation, in different location, of course, the access to the data is the most important. And as you can see, the standard solutions, so open source solutions are used. And of course, apart from the Microsoft Windows systems and Office applications. And I think that's all from my side, but I know that there is some small problem with communication, so I'm not sure I can answer a question and I don't have my feedback. So if you can prepare the chat, the questions, maybe my colleagues from the city, we can answer the same way.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
We have question from Maria.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Victor. My question is how often do you get the feed from the police authorities?
This is as I know, this is supplied yearly in the yearly basis, so once a year, and there are some kind of the updates after the first quarter. So the data, the reports are prepared in the yearly basis usually.
Okay, and you have some standard communication protocols established for this data exchange, or this is done in a more traditional way?
I don't think we have the very complicated way of communication. I think that should be an exchange of the files, but I have to ask Adrian about that, so I will just prepare the information in a minute.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Marco, I know some panelists, some attendees, not panelists, wanted to talk, but we need to stress out that first they need to raise their hand, and then it will be perhaps you that can unmute them. I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, that's Zoom settings, not me. So
Yeah,
I need
I know.
just for everyone, just feel free to raise your hand, and then we can give you the option to speak, or you can write in chat with your question. So feel free to do so. I don't see any questions now for Victor, so I will give floor to
Thank you
Pablo.
very much.
Thank you very much, Victor. Again, I will give floor to Pablo Sirvatka from City of Lviv. Pablo, feel free to share your screen.
Thank you. It's what done in City of Lviv is quite similar to previous speakers, and I believe this presentation also will be about similar challenges and similar solutions to those which other cities participating here face. My presentation is about experience of using delays data for decision making. Idea is firstly, issue is that in Ukraine, unlike many other countries, it's a responsibility of city to create a schedule which public transport operators will be using, because idea is that city will coordinate this and all transport will work, but sometimes expected schedule or very estimated will not work due to some conditions. Current situation, we have, I compared for another presentation, data on number of vehicles in different cities. And here you see that Lviv is quite comparable to big cities also in Ukraine and outside Ukraine by number of vehicles. So manual coordination, it's not a solution which can be working. Also, what we have and what was done as part of previous steps, we have map on city portal which shows delays which are calculated by average travel time of vehicles between stops in the fastest to the slowest period of time. You can see here that on the selected section, we have difference between this fastest and slowest period is, 4 minutes, which means quite a lot. If you compare that we have more than 7 units of public transport on this section per hour, and maybe other making turns, but also overlapping this route. So in this case, we cannot say that we select average duration of trip from point A to point B. And it will be in some periods too slow, which will encourage bus drivers or tram drivers to be slower than they can, which leads to not happy passengers. And in other periods, it will be too fast, so that public transport will not be in time, and passengers waiting on stop will be waiting longer because the scheduled time for arrival to next stop will be not met. Also, this varies by time of day, because here is example of Sunday 8 in evening. It's the biggest delay for all the week on this section, on this route. Because it's near the city center, and on Sundays city center is closed for traffic. So it's not like, okay, for each route we take data on travel time 8 in the morning and like 8 in the evening, and say part of them will be this or another way. Also, like as I mentioned before, residents complain about crowding, about what I mentioned before, move slowly even though there is no congestion, because by schedule, it's the schedule is taking into account potential congestion which can happen on this section of route on this part of day. And also transfers are not taken into account by the same measure, because the same reason that we understand that it's not really probable that time of arrival on specific stops, so it's very difficult to adjust. And their conditioning, it's like, it's complain, but it's not complain about our topic. What we do, we using already available systems. We are in this project, we are developing schedules which will be more adjusted to reality, say so. So that's how it works. How it works now. City council says number of vehicles, and by this number of vehicles tries to develop schedule, and by the schedule vehicles, buses, trams are more or less evenly distributed, and once per season something is adjusted if something goes wrong. What we want to do and what colleagues are currently working on now. So it's work in progress. It's creating graphs based on data, which we already have, because Lviv has GTFS data from year 2015, quite a long time, and some measures were evaluated based on this GTFS data. But for this project, we have data on, say, so check-ins, check-outs on each stop for each vehicle in each trip. And we have this like stop name, we have date and time when it was done, and its route, license plate, and other data is available. One of challenges which colleagues faced when started developing this automated project, which hopefully yet not a big issue for other countries, it's poor quality of GPS data because of electronic warfare. Sometimes it's a good way to jam missiles or drones which are flying to the city or outside or near the city by jamming GPS, and it also affects data, because then when you look on the track of bus, you can see that it travels to somewhere Southern America and then to Africa and then to somewhere else. But I understand that if it will be in reality, at least you would have a lot of claims from passengers. So it was challenged to define criteria for cleaning this data which is not proper, and it was done. And basically, what we have for each section, which is stop A to stop B, we have very different travel time during each weekday, during each hour. So we decided to take travel time for test with periods of half hour, which means like 48 periods per day, plus Saturday and Sunday will be different. Despite you see that on some routes, maybe Monday and Saturday will be the same, but generally in the city, based on analysis of bigger data, it makes sense. What next? How it's done? So we have travel time for each interval, like 6 to 6:30, 6:30 to 7, 7 to 7:30, and so on and so on. Different duration for each section of route, and also for each for staying on each stop, because in some places you have more passengers in some periods, on some less. So here you see that it's in morning, in the evening it's 1:30, but at 8 in the morning it's 2:20, which is like plus one minute, which is already significant. And after that we are building, it's called local slang of traffic managers in city stadio, because it's kind of not a circle which contains all the route. But for stadium, we need to add the parking time of at end station, which are for driver's rest. We have lunch breaks and time of arrival and departure from depot. And what we have is, like, next step is defining intervals for each period of time, but not for kind of half day. So we are going deeper into this scheduling system, which is currently being developed. So you see kind of test version. And it's a mock-up of software for transport company traffic dispatcher to work for. So you can select a specific route, and for this specific route, you can set up all the needed information, and then iteration by iteration adjust this schedule of route to be more convenient. So still we need a lot of user of experience from and qualification from it's dispatchers of public transport companies, operators, but this software I really hope will make their work easier and provide them with much more flexibility. And one more thing which I mentioned in the beginning, it's highlighting, we can now highlight specific events in this tentative schedule, which we can say that it's overlapping with route which have section in the same direction, or we suggest to move to start from beginning station faster than like 1 minute faster than it's recommended, but we understand that it will be more convenient for passengers in the middle of road or something like that. So that's it. If there are any questions, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavlo, and also to Yuri, who's very active in our project. I don't know if there are any questions at the moment for Pavlo. If not, I can immediately give floor. Okay. We have one from Maria from CERT.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both very much. Basically, my question would be, if you have seen any changes to the public transport service so far, I mean, what would you say has been the most visible change of this kind of real-time data processing and planning? Are there improvements in the punctuality? Have you seen improvements in the way people are now seeing public transport? I understand, of course, that maybe there are other priorities for your country, but yeah, if you have seen any improvements.
Yes, thank you, Maria. This part of project is being in process of development now, so we had no chance to test it and understand, collect feedback regarding general issue of working with real-time data of public transport. I would say city is implementing changes based on data collected and processed, but it's more case by case, because sometimes we have requests from some transport operators that, oh, we need to move slower on this street because it's we cannot do it in time. Then we gather data on this specific route, and we either confirm that, okay, we have so many like 2 years ago it was free flow, but now it's very congested, and we need to make some changes so that buses will be keeping with existing schedule. Or okay, we have no chance then to decrease travel speed and add extra travel time in some hours, but again, not in all the day and not in all the week. So it's one of instruments, but not the thing which you can influence of which you can easily measure as separate, because as other colleagues presented, it's decision support, but not decision itself. You can measure decision done and measure implemented in real world, but not how quality of data affected the real world, because it's not direct. But also in some cases, when transport operators say, we cannot do it in time, then we gather data and show them that they in fact can be even faster, and sometimes agree, okay, like since the first of next month you will be traveling like not 10 minutes but 9 minutes, because you see data which shows that you can be faster, it's okay, and your drivers are doing it in 9 minutes, but then just staying on the some stop waiting for schedule, which is not good for anybody.
Thank you very much, Paolo. I was just checking if we have any questions from chat. So thank you again for the presentation. I will now give floor to the last presentation today. Welcome, Evan, and thank you for your presentation. We will hear more about mobility data specification with some examples from London, Oslo, and USA, I think. Evan, feel free to share the screen.
Great. Thank you for having me. Can you see my screen?
No,
yes.
Yet.
Great.
Yes, no.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you for having me. My name is Evan Kosliola. I am the Managing Director of Cityfy Europe. I am here on behalf of the Open Mobility Foundation, which is the steward of a couple pretty important city data specifications that are focused on managing mobility and managing the public space, including the curbs that are along streets. The Open Mobility Foundation is a global social enterprise organization that is really founded on the idea of bringing together cities, mobility ecosystem stakeholders, and tech providers to develop open source tools, two of which are the mobility data specification and curb data specification. Today, I'm going to focus specifically on the mobility data specification and its promise to help manage mobility really in real time, but also how it can be leveraged for decision support tools, as well as supporting ongoing work related to SUMPs. Oh, and I would be remiss in saying this is a free membership model, so if you are interested in participating in the development and advancement of these specifications, join. It's free. So let's talk about the problems that cities and regions are faced with. Of course, a lot is on their shoulders. They are often tasked with solving some of society's biggest challenges, everything from managing increasingly minimal public space as cities continue to urbanize and grow, managing the climate crisis and mitigating climate impact, and ensuring that cities are, as all these impacts are happening, they are livable, inclusive, affordable, and accessible. That is all being done with essentially insufficient tools and resources. And that's where some of these data specifications come into play. There is a clear need not only to manage mobility, onboard mobility, and plan for better infrastructure, but to use strategic data to actually manage those services, the system, and ensure that the complex mobility systems and public spaces are working for the city, and that cities are achieving the outcomes that they want to see. So I think most of you probably know what data specifications are, but just to make sure that everyone is on the same page, essentially a data specification is a set of rules that are agreed upon that dictate how information or data is formatted, shared, and understood, and insights are derived between systems and organizations. In this case, it would be between public agencies, government, and mobility providers, or anyone that is permitted to use the public realm, public streets. The mobility data specification specifically is a common language where mobility data is being used to enable government, public agencies, and private mobility providers to share information to ensure that mobility operations and data that's coming from those operations are being managed to the specification of the city, and of course so that cities can start to analyze the impact of mobility and mobility services and plan for more, better, or augmented mobility service. Of course, MDS is a real-time and historic information source. It is about how vehicles are used on public streets, when they're used, how they move through space, and how they comply with the local rules that are dictated by cities. The good thing is that it's not just about mobility operations and managing mobility in real time, or even doing look backs. It's also about thinking about long-term planning. What does the infrastructure need? What does the system of the future look like? And how can this data that's coming from this mobility data specification serve that need? I'm not going to get into the details of all the APIs that the mobility data specification is comprised of, but I'll give you the highlights. First off, MDS version 2.0, it is GDPR compliant, and it is comprised of 5 APIs. I'm showing 4, but these are the most important for this conversation. Sorry, 6 APIs. I'm showing 5. First and foremost, there is a provider and an agency API that will allow public agencies to access real-time and historic information from the mobility providers. So they'll pull information from the providers, and then the agency can also push information to the providers. This includes data or information related to the vehicle status, trips, so trip level data, where trips are starting and ending, the timestamps of those trips, how long the trip has been in operation or been in revenue service, the distance of the trips, really critical metrics that are important for system planning and system performance measurement. A unique feature of MDS is also that cities can push policy, digital policy, to the mobility providers. So that comes in the form of geofences. It comes in the form of when and where vehicles can enter into a defined zone, whether there's a speed limit associated with that zone, and whether there are any caps on deployment of vehicles, parking restrictions of the vehicles, so on and so forth. I'm going to stop there in terms of the APIs, but the point here is that MDS allows for two-way communication of critical data. What is the utility of MDS? Of course, I've kind of highlighted the operational utility, right? So cities now have the ability to manage any number of shared mobility service, whether it's micromobility, ride-hail taxi, future AV services, sidewalk delivery robots, car share, manage how they use the public space, monitor their use and their performance of across the system, and whether or not those vehicles and the services that operate those vehicles are compliant with the rules and regulation. More germane to this conversation is that, and what we think the future of MDS is to actually more and more use the data that comes from MDS to serve a planning, policy development, and decision support tool function. And we'll give some examples of some cities that are doing this. It is a nascent field. There's a lot of opportunities for broader long-term analytics and insights. But the point being, these are rich insights that can help impact how the system is designed in the future. I will also note that listening to the presentations before me, I think basically MDS could be either an input to or a parallel data source for many of the data and digital tools that have been presented today, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to skip this. Again, right, a lot of the focus right now is on operations and mobility management. The future is leveraging this data, these data for more planning, policy development, and decision-making purposes. The value proposition of mobility data specification is that this data is very, very messy, right? And it needs to be managed and put into a format that is usable and logical and in support of meeting cities' objectives, as well as mobility providers' objectives as well. It allows for consistency across a variety of different sources. So the mobility providers that operate in cities, it allows for real-time management. It supports analytics on the performance of the system, and it enables some level of integration with other systems. So mobility as a service applications, other enforcement tools that need access to this data to measure compliance. And this has been in existence since essentially 2017, and since then over 200 plus mobility service providers are providing MDS data to cities or receiving data from cities in the MDS format, which is a sizable number of mobility providers. Roughly 1,000 cities across the globe are receiving some kind of MDS data, whether they know it or not. Many cities don't know that the data that they're receiving from the companies that operate in their cities is in the MDS format. So there's influence without knowledge of influence. But significant input or a significant footprint of cities that have been touched by MDS. And then as of, I believe, a couple months ago, MDS hit 2 billion trips globally. Most of the trips were coming from shared bikes and shared scooters, but there's also trips that are coming from car share, taxis, sidewalk delivery robots, and in some cases, automated mobility vehicles, as well as on-demand transit. So 2 billion it's a big number. What's exciting about MDS is that the use cases are really countless, right? So I'm just showing a very basic and high-level summary of the types of use cases that are applicable to MDS and how a city might use it. If you look at the determined use bucket, and if you look at measure, report, and plan, that is the decision support tool use case pathway and the planning use case pathway. And from there, you can do any number of analysis and insights by mode, by geography or defined zone of interest, the type of management that you're intending to apply to the mobility service, and the type of measure behavior and trend that you're trying to measure across any number of mobility services. So use cases are truly endless, and you can get to some pretty significant insights when you have a plan in place and you are trying to measure for the outcomes that you're trying to see as a city. So to the case studies, the first couple are really focused on the UK and Europe, and specifically related to the shift from operational insights to more policy and planning insights. Oslo, with their e-scooter program, they have been operating that for several years now, and they've gone through several iterations of that program, and that is because of the use of MDS. They started with a pilot, and they've started to right size the fleet size, and the regulations based on MDS data. So they've gone from over-indexing on the supply that's necessary to meet the demand from 25,000 units down to 8,000 units. Now they're at 16,000 units, and they've increased their service area by threefold. And this is a direct result of using MDS data. Transport for London, as I'm sure you know, they started their scooter trials, I believe, in 2021. They have a significant network of geofenced parking, no ride and no park zones that help to manage the system and ensure some level of organization. And through the use of MDS, they've been able to measure the impact of their regulations and the management controls that they put into place. They've also started to expand the program. They're now serving about a third of the city, versus, in 2021, there were only a couple pilots that were not in operation. Data was central to that expansion. And then taking that to the next level, Department for Transport at the national level is now utilizing MDS data to measure user demographics, the characteristics of trips that are occurring in London, as a way to define new policy regulation and thinking about how to roll out new improvements to the transport network. Going across the Atlantic to Minneapolis. Minneapolis is well known for their mobility hub network. It's very akin to what's been done in Rotterdam specifically, but a big part of their planning process to determine the optimal location of the first tranche of mobility hubs is related to MDS trip data, the start and end data, understanding how it aligns with community resources, where transit portals are, and where there's socioeconomic need or equity and transport need or transport gaps, and that mobility hubs can serve. And so between 2020 and 2022, they rolled out, I believe, 25 mobility hubs. They're about to go through their next iteration and implement a further set of, I think, 15 mobility hubs. And that planning process is really focused on, where the data is showing the need is. The last example I'm going to give you is in the Bay Area. This is very fresh, and essentially the 9-county Bay Area region, which consists of something like 80 cities and 28 public transport authorities. They are developing a practical guide for public agencies to use the mobility data specification as well as the curb data specification, specifically to plan, measure, and augment curb management strategies and mobility hub strategies. So this takes the planning process from citywide networks and focuses it really down to the curb and the point level. So this data is very useful for planning purposes and augmenting initial plans to make mobility assets that much better. I'm going to stop there. Thank you for your time, and I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Sorry, everybody. I'm just quickly stepping in for Marco, who's having some technical difficulties as host, having to restart his computer. So thank you very much. It was very interesting. There were some questions in the chat that I believe are referring to this. Yes, indeed. So Marco actually put one into the chat, probably preempting his departure from the session. He'll be back in a moment, though. So he's just asking, can you give an example of mobility hub management based on data monitoring? I know you gave a few examples, but is there one specific highlight for that?
Yeah, I think I'll give you two answers. One is if you think of a mobility hub typology, the more micro mobility hub end of the spectrum, any number of cities that have developed digital hubs, like Brussels is a really good example. They're using the mobility data specification to manage those assets. A number of cities across the United States and Canada are using the mobility data specification to manage the more multimodal mobility hubs, right? That where there's an interchange between micromobility, other shared mobility, and public transport. So Los Angeles, Seattle, Minneapolis, Boston, Philadelphia. These are all cities that have relatively advanced, focused on data coming from MDS to manage mobility hubs.
It's interesting. And a question from Maria. I think I can unmute you here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Evan. This was a very interesting presentation and very impressive figures there. So basically, my question would be, what are the challenges when someone wants to apply the MDS framework? And if a city, for example, is new in this, how should they start? What's your advice?
It's a really, really good question. You can't just start to implement MDS. I'd say most 99% of cities that are actively implementing MDS and require MDS implementation of their service providers, they have a data platform, right? They're not building an in-house tool to ingest the data, to analyze the data, to generate insights, and then think through the policy or management response. They have a technology partner. I flipped back to this slide because the playbook that is being developed and will be released very soon has a 10-step process, right? And some cities are well equipped to skip some of these steps because they have the technical resources and the funding and so on and so forth. Other cities don't, right? But I cannot stress how important step one is, which is being very clear about the goals and the objectives of your program and how to utilize MDS to be in service of managing for the performance on those objectives and outcomes, which for some cities it's hard to do at first.
But this is not the first time I hear that data should be eventually your last point. The first point should be the goals and objectives. This is not the first time I hear this during this project. So thank you. Thank you actually for pointing this out. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, no problem. I see there's one more question, I think.
Question in the chat. So what is the minimum percentage modal share of micromobility that you need in a city in order to say that the data collected from those sensors can be used for transport policy management, etc.?
Yeah. Of course, it depends on the scale of your planning exercise. So if you're applying micromobility data to a broader citywide network or regional network, you need to think about what trips you care about most, right? Are you caring about first mile, last mile trips that serve or that connect into regional rail or high quality public transport service? Or are you focusing on a corridor, right? So I think it depends on the demand profile and where that is distributed across the city. I think you can always extrapolate some insights from a base number of trips, right? And you can normalize that data as so long as you caveat it, as you would do with any modeling exercise, right? But I don't have a like rule of thumb, to be honest. It just really depends.
Thank you very much, Evan, once again. I'm not sure what happened with my Zoom, but yeah, I had to rejoin the meeting, so I hope there were all questions read to you. I know I asked something about mobility hub, so I don't know if you replied to the question posed in the chat.
Yeah.
If there are no questions, I would just thank everyone today for this great presentation on data usage, standardization, manage, and and thank you again for joining this REFOCUS webinar. We will continue with our capacity building in REFOCUS, and the next webinar is scheduled for the late spring next year. But of course, you can always subscribe to our newsletter or check the REFOCUS LinkedIn to just check on any news that we have, since we have a great work from our cities involved in the project. I don't know, Maria from CERT, if you have anything to say as last words for this event.
Thank you. Also, all of you for being part of this conversation, and yeah, let's carry forward with what REFOCUS actually embodies: the regional collaboration, digital transparency. So yeah, we look forward in connecting with you in the future through REFOCUS. Thank you.
Thank you all, and if you're interested in connecting with presenters from today, we will publish all the news together with presentation on REFOCUS website, so you can check all presentations there as well. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much.